Hi, I'm Ryan with DIY Painting Tips, and in this video I want to show you my absolute favorite airless sprayer for the DIY painter, and that is the Wagner Control Pro. It's a durable, easy to use, cheap sprayer that can do almost anything from interior painting to exterior painting, even some kitchen cabinets and furniture if you want. I've actually used it in my own business for a long time now and absolutely love it. So let's dive in and take a closer look. Right off the bat, the Wagner Control Pro comes in the 150 or the 170, just a little bit more spraying power, but I've got the 150 right here. And as you can see, I've actually put this to a lot of use. This isn't something I went and bought off the shelf and just promoting for no reason. We got this for an apartment building remodel, and we used it on about 25 units where we sprayed all the ceilings, walls, trim, doors with Kills 2. To seal everything, and then we actually painted the ceilings, painted the walls, and even used this to spray out the trim, doors, everything like that. And it was a cheap one that could just sit at that apartment building, and we never had a single issue with it. I actually painted this my own garage with it, and I absolutely love it. It's about $319 on Amazon right now, which you can find a link in the description. And the only changes that I made to this sprayer is I added a 2-foot extension from Graco just to get me a higher reach on ceilings. If you've ever painted ceilings, reaching up or getting on a ladder is no fun. And it also saves your back when you're spraying walls. So you can shoot the top of the wall to the bottom of the wall without bending over. How you would normally without an extension is a lot of reaching. So it just saves your back. So I'll have a link to this in the description as well, but absolute worth the investment to add on to any airless sprayer you have. So a little bit more about the sprayer. The Control Pro 150 HEA, that's a high efficiency airless. What Wagner's claim on this is that you're getting about 55% less overspray than a normal airless sprayer. The way they do this is they say it creates a softer spray, so you're not getting as much bounce back. On a normal airless sprayer, let's say you're spraying at 2200 psi, a lot of that paint hits the wall and literally bounces off the wall, creating overspray. So by spraying a softer spray, more of it's going to adhere to the wall. That's why a HVLP, a high volume, low pressure, they usually spray at like 10 psi. That's why they have such low overspray compared to an airless that's spraying at, say, 2000 normally. The Wagner Control Pro 150 actually has 1500 psi. Wagner claims that this sprayer is good for about 175 gallons a year. I can tell you that we probably put 2,000 gallons in 3-4 months, and we have had zero issues with it. This is your pressure control right here, and that would be 0 psi all the way up to 1500 psi. The way I use this is anytime you're spraying, have something you can practice on, maybe a little bit of cardboard or a wall that you can just kind of get a little spray out. You want to start low, start at say 1 and spray. You want to keep your pressure down as low as possible. You don't just crank it all the way up. So do a little test pattern. If the spray looks great, you're good to go. If it has lines on the edges, go up. Do another test pattern. Is it looking nice and even, an even amount of paint from one edge to the other, or are there still lines and gaps? Turn it up. Usually you're going to end up somewhere between 3 and 5. And if you have a 515, which I have in here, a 515 is going to give me about a 10-inch wide spray fan. That's what I'm going to use on walls, on ceilings. Anytime I'm applying a lot of paint, typically I'm just going to be all the way up on this tip. If I go down to something like a 411, so that's going to give me an 8-inch spray fan, that's going to be less paint, smaller fan width, so I'm probably going to be down a little bit on my pressure. If I go to something like a 309, say I want to paint some kitchen cabinets, I'm probably going to be somewhere in that 3-4 range. Right over here we have our prime and spray valve. So the prime, you've got your waste release prime hose here. So if you have any air in it or anything, or you're priming out the pump, so that's going to allow you to suck the paint up through here and prime it until you get all the air out of the piston, everything like that, so that you can actually get a good suction. Shoot it right back into the paint bucket, and then when you're ready to spray, flip it over, and that will change the direction of your paint flow into your hose. So you've really only got two buttons on here, your prime and your pressure. So it's an easy to use sprayer for any DIY painter who's never used a sprayer before. Good entry level price point. Like I said, I sprayed thousands of gallons through it already and I absolutely love the sprayer. On top of that, your more expensive sprayers, they're horribly heavy. They're made out of metal. They're heavy. Carry around. This thing, I can one hand straight out. I don't know exactly what it weighs, but it's not much. So it's definitely made out of plastic. It's not a big metal contraption, but for $319, it's worth it all day. The last thing I'm gonna go on here, the gun, it's definitely a cheap gun. The hose goes right up here, so there is no inline filter in the gun, which you will see on more expensive sprayers. And that is nice. So you do have to keep your filter clean here, and you may deal with a little bit more clogged spray tips than on a nicer sprayer. But these are reverse tips, so you just flip it around, shoot the clog out, and then flip it back around and keep spraying. So I'll keep a little bucket, or if I'm doing a something that doesn't have flooring in yet, I can just shoot the floor quick. But that's probably my biggest complaint on this sprayer, is it does tend to clog faster because of the cheaper gun. You can get different guns for this. A nicer Graco gun might be about $100, and that'll give you that inline filter, which is really nice to have. So this definitely lacks the filters, like I said, and most expensive sprayers are going to have another filter built right onto the pump. Here you just got a straining filter, and that is it. So you better make sure that your paint is nice and free of chunks and everything before you get going. Even straining your paint before you put in the bucket and get going. The Control Pro comes with a 25-foot hose, which tends to be good for all your normal painting. Like doing my shop here, I'm about 25 by 35. I was able to just put it in the middle. I didn't have to move it at all. If you're doing a house, you might have to carry it room to room with you. Not a big deal with such a light, easy sprayer. The only time the 25-foot hose is going to be a problem is if you're painting a big exterior. Maybe you got your paint down on the ground, you got to go up onto the roof and hit some angle up at the top. You might run into an issue. That's when you may want to get another cheap 25-foot hose and expand this out a little bit. The more hose you have, though, the more you're going to lose pressure. So you do have to be aware of that. Don't know that it go much beyond 50 feet of hose for a sprayer like this. So just quickly to compare other types of sprayers you're going to get in the same price range. You're going to get the Wagner sprayers. So comparable sprayers would be something like the Graco Magnum X5. Very similar sprayer to this, similar price point. I have no issues. I love that sprayer equally as much. I have a Graco Magnum X5 as well. Absolutely love it. Another one you might be tempted to purchase when you're in the hardware store is something like the Graco True Coat. I'm going to recommend, unless you have a very specific need for this exact sprayer, do not consider these equals. Spraying a ceiling while holding all this weight is miserable. Also, pressure is not allowed to build up in a sprayer like this. So actually, every time the piston pumps, it blasts a little bit of paint out. So you tend to get this dotted spray fan. There's a very specific use for these. I personally don't believe there's almost any DIY uses for these that something like this is not significantly better for, or an HVLP is better for. Let's say you have a little piece of furniture, you only want to use a little bit of paint. Well, that you have to use more paint to fill up the hose, so that could be a negative. But like a Wagner HVLP that might be $150 is a far better choice than going to something like this, which we have a video on the Wagner Flexio, which you can watch on this channel as well. Well, that about wraps it up. Again, the Wagner Control Pro 150 HEA sprayer. Absolutely wonderful sprayer for the price point. Perfect for the homeowners painting their exterior, their interior, their basement, your garage, or even the professional who doesn't have a lot of money, just starting out. You can't afford those $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 sprayers. It's just a great entry-level sprayer that can accomplish everything you need. I highly recommend it, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the little thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Till next time, thanks for watching.